All right, welcome back, everybody. We are here with Bonnie Wilke, representing.
Bonnie. Good morning.
Well, representing yourself. But,
just representing the people.
Overall, represent CIR.
Yeah.
I like it. Bonnie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you and I had a bit of a conversation, which is how this went, and then, and Bonnie's a champion. First of all, I just got to say that she's awesome. She's always involved, heavily involved, and she's such a great, amazing realtor. Getting into this, so thank you so much for just coming on and sharing, because I know that you're like, well,
It's not my cup of tea, but glad to be here anyway.
Not your cup of tea, so it is. You're the best. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. But tell us how long you've been in real estate and sort of the locations, the areas, type of real estate you sell, the areas you work in.
I have been a realtor since 2007. Didn't do my first deal till first part of 2008.
Okay.
I do residential, rural, dabble in commercial, which I don't really enjoy because I'm not comfortable in it, but
Fair.
Do a little bit. I go where my people go. That's what I've always said. So I've sold up in Sundre, and again, didn't choose to do that, but my person said, I don't want anyone else, I want you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I said, okay. So I believe in going where my people are.
Perfect.
And that's
a little bit all
what
over.
I've always done.
Yes. Do you live in Okotoks?
I live just outside of Okotoks on an acreage.
Oh, awesome. So you're familiar with, obviously.
Grew up on a farm and lived on an acreage.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, you have my things.
Oh,
there we go.
I have your things. Okay.
You have my things. Doesn't matter. I was just like going through my paper, and Mondays, people. Mondays. Well, and you know what? This is just interesting. So when you said you dabbled in commercial, just quick question for you. Do you remember you had that beautiful property that was was it horse boarding, or it had the equestrian facility on it? Would that be considered commercial?
Well, that's why I keep my commercial license. It's actually agricultural, but yes, because there's a business component to it, it makes sense for me to be able to know all.
We were talking about that this morning.
That makes sense.
Yes, we are. Yes,
that we are. Sense. And that is always a bit of a trick. So involve your accountant and your seller's accountant, and don't pretend to know what you don't know is my best advice.
Very good advice.
Get help.
That'll keep you
Get
in
help
trouble.
Always. Yes.
So you guys were chatting, you and Lindsay were chatting about 2018 not being your most favorite out of all of your real estate years. And then...
Better than your first year.
No.
Oh, you said you didn't do a deal your first year.
No, I didn't do a deal. I only signed up the end of 2007.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. So. Yes.
All right.
Well, not even that then. So it's a
bad
year. Bad year.
Yeah. But yeah, and then... So what was it? So what was it in general? Before we talk about what changed, what do you think it was about 2018, or just the way you were operating?
Grumpy people. Everybody was miserable. Hey, how are you today? Oh, and it just brings you down. And I'm generally a pretty happy person, always have been, but I was miserable, and so I just thought, I'm not doing it.
And you're not used to being miserable.
I'm fortunate that my husband has a steady income. I got a puppy. I took time off. I didn't see people, kind of just hid away.
Pulled away a little bit, yeah.
Worst thing you can ever do if you're having a down year or a down time, don't hibernate. Don't hide. Get out there and see people.
But in retrospect, it's easy to say that.
Oh, very easy.
But I've been in moods like that too. And when you are actually feeling that way, it's really, really hard.
It's the hardest
to get yourself
ever.
To do otherwise.
Yes.
Like that is just to be as honest as it can be, right? Like it's easy for a happy person to tell a miserable person to be happy.
Get out there and do something.
Like,
yeah, no.
It's hard.
I agree, 100%.
It's hard. So I don't.
But I had a goal in 2019. I wanted to go to Europe for a month.
Yeah.
Well, I can't afford to do that if I don't work.
Yeah.
And I just decided you can be miserable or you can get out there. So I didn't change any of my marketing. I don't do a lot of marketing per se.
Yeah.
Just started to go places, do things.
Get
out with the dog.
When was the month? Like when was tell us about the time you sort of said, I set this goal. When did you set the goal? Was it the end of 2018 you set the goal?
Yes.
Okay.
In 2018, I thought I want to go to Europe in September.
Yeah. So would that have been December-ish or like
No,
November-ish,
that was about September, October of 2018.
Okay.
And it took me a few months to get myself sorted.
Put your boots back on.
Get out
and
there
yep.
Yeah.
get on with it.
So when you say you went places and just got out with the dog, does that mean in general you just put yourself up to be more open to talking to people in general?
Yes. And I don't ever go and say, oh, I'm a realtor and all that. I never have, never will. I would just go to community functions, just take the dog for a walk, chat with people, go to the library, chat with people. Just be out in the community. Get out there.
Wow.
Contact my friends. Let's go for lunch. Let's go for coffee, and do it at a local coffee shop. Never talking real estate, just being more present, happier. And it made me happier. The happier I got, the more I saw people. The more I saw people, the more they would say, oh, my cousin's looking. I said, well, if they want, give me a call. Whatever.
But if you're not physically present and you're not the type of person that someone thinks their cousin is going to want to be around, none of those things are going to line up.
So
I have to share something because this is just amazing that you're talking, or interesting that you're talking about this. And I just talked about the podcast earlier, the Happiness Lab, but they did a study of people in the subway, and they said, hey, go on and you talk to people, do you not talk to people, like what do you do? And the subways are dead silent, right? Like no one talks to anybody. You sit down with this person for a half hour, you don't say anything to them, and they said, go out and reach out to people now. So one group had to reach out, one group didn't, and the group that reached out and actually had a conversation with people went crazy. So the subway company now is, based on the feedback they got from everybody, they said, we are going to initiate quiet cars, where you're not allowed to talk to yourself, or not allowed to do this because no one wanted to talk to people. But then the guy said, well, that's contradictory to the actual studies that we did, where people say, to be happier, I need my solitary time. And they say, no, you believe that, but it's wrong. You actually need to go out, and you experience that. And then the guy said, well, have you guys ever thought about creating a car where people are allowed to talk? They're like, yeah, we used to have bar cars that had service, stuff like that. It's like, well, why didn't you guys do it? They're like, they were too crowded. It was like, what? So we got rid of them, and now we're going to initiate quiet cars. Yeah, but it's awesome that you're saying this, because you experienced something that you said transformed. You stayed at home. Lots of people feel like, I just need some downtime for me. Yes, a little bit, but what makes you happier is being around people and talking. Mm-hmm. And you did that. Yeah. So the attitude, were you happier too when you were talking to people?
Yes.
Like, did you start changing your mentality a bit on what's possible for the market? Tell us a little bit about that.
It doesn't happen overnight, but you talk to a few people and you meet a few more people, and then somebody says, oh, well, here's the referral. Oh, that'd be great. So, and the more I'm out, you do a couple deals, and I've been very fortunate. I've had really great realtors refer me, and that's awesome. So that just makes you think, oh, they must think I'm okay. Yeah. So then I am okay. So you have a little more confidence, and the more confident you are, the more you're out there, it just happens. And I said to my husband, it's so silly. I just change how I think. And he said, no, you don't. And I said, yes, I do. He said, no, what you do is every time somebody contacts you, you make sure you finish the deal. Whether you actually get the deal done or not, you take the best care of them possible. And he said, that's what's getting the people to come back. But I don't see that. I see it as, I'm okay. Like, I feel confident. So it's a bit of both, I think, right? It's not that you just decide you're going to do all right, but you make sure you work. When you're working, you work all the way through. You finish every single deal.
And there's a saying that says action precedes motivation. So if you're taking action, the motivation comes and you start feeling better. But without action, you just slip into deep dark. That's the thing. Anybody that does suffer from depression, like getting out there and exercising, and it's not easy. It's
not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to just keep at it. So
wow.
So I didn't do anything different other than I just decided to just get going.
As far as the miserable people go, in general,
yes.
Did you find that once you were a little bit more positive, you found it easier to deal with the miserable people, or that people just became less miserable? Because you said all of this started because people were miserable. So the last 12 months of working, or the last 8 months for 2019 that you have been, how have you been finding just the general disposition of those around you? And how are you dealing with miserable people?
Try not to buy into their negativity. Find a positive. I get teased, oh yeah, Pollyanna, it's just not that great out there. And I know it's not that great. I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly do understand that completely. But if you look at the negative always, you'll only see the negative. So just trying to present better options, different ways to look at things. And sometimes just saying, yeah, it's miserable. I agree, it's horrible. But you know what? It's a sunny day. Like just
Now what are we going to do about it? Now what are we going to do?
Present something
Yeah.
positive. Take
Yeah.
the negative and just try to turn it around.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
That's about it.
Have you noticed the attitude shift? So in 2018, there's your professional life, but then there's also the personal side of life. In 2019, have you noticed that attitude trickle over to the other side of your life too, the personal side?
Yes. I mean, it did help that we did get to go on that holiday, right?
Where'd you guys go?
We did the Mediterranean for 3 weeks in Paris for a few days.
Amazing.
So absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
But again, you could go anywhere for 3 weeks with good weather and on a holiday, and it would be wonderful in my mind. So yes, very fortunate.
But you had the opportunity to do it because you went back to work
and just decided this is something I wanted. So a goal, I think, is crucial.
That's what I was going to say. So are you going to set another goal for next year based off of the success you had setting one for this year?
Yes. And to go back to real estate, the reason I went into real estate was we have 3 children. I wanted them to go to university, and I wanted them to come out with a degree that they chose, but no debt. So I don't have a university education. I was an animal health technician, then I managed a veterinary clinic, and then when the kids were born and hubby worked crazy hours, I worked in the schools with special needs kids and don't make any money doing that. So what could I do? I could become a realtor.
Yeah.
So that was the motivation. So, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do well in this. I just wanted it bad enough to go out, and I was very fortunate. So
That's outstanding.
So the goal for next year, finish the renovations that we've been at for 17 years, maybe.
That's a great goal. That's a
good
great
goal.
goal.
So no, it's
Good for you, Bonnie. So what would you have some advice? So, I mean, there's a lot of realtors that are watching right now that are guaranteed mentality-wise in the exact same state that you were last year.
It's easy
For
to
sure.
get there.
Yep.
Yeah, totally easy to
Very
get
easy
there.
to get there.
What would you say is, and knowing that it's hard to get out of, right? Because I think that sometimes
Very
us
difficult.
people, us happier people, or people who are, it's easy to say, we'll do this. But like I mentioned, when you're in that mindset, it's hard. What would you say would be step one of the journey to get out of it?
Get out of bed and get out of the house.
Yeah.
And it
That's
could be
it.
as simple as go take your book to the library today, and instead of reading it at home, read it in a public space type thing.
Just get out of the house. Like it sounds so silly and so simple,
I
but
appreciate
just get up, get out of the house, put your face on, and off you go. Like just do it.
Get
Just-
into
just
costume.
start.
I like that. You know, that standpoint of, and that's one of the things they say. If you want to work out, it's best that you're in your workout clothes. You know, otherwise, if you're, you know, if I come home and I'm dressed like this, then I go straight to like my comfy, we call them our house clothes.
Yep.
But it's like if I put sweatpants and my sweatshirt on, I don't
You're
feel like
not
doing
as
anything.
likely
It's
going
like
to
this is
the
my
gym.
Netflix outfit.
Yeah.
And it puts you in that Netflix mindset.
That's exactly it.
It's just so simple. And,
But if
and
you dress
sometimes
like
you
you're
might have
dressed.
to write out, today I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Just
That's almost like a clinical advice for even like depression.
out
It's
of
like,
bed.
Make a small goal. Just, you know, get out of the house.
Yeah.
Do this. Go for coffee with somebody.
And doesn't have to be real estate people.
No.
Like seriously not. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, and I find social media is one of the worst things for this sort of unhappiness.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Well, they sold a house. They bought a house. I didn't do that. I didn't. Just don't even worry about them.
Yep.
Just do you. Just get up, show up, do your best, and that'll be good enough.
That's
what I
great,
think.
Bonnie. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I think
Oh,
this
my
is such an
pleasure.
important topic that
Yeah,
it's
it really is.
it sounds simple, but it is so universal. And I think that you sharing your experience is going to be really helpful and relate to a lot of people.
Well, I
And
hope
I'm
so.
so happy that you're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am too. It's really
Congratulations on
fun.
the turnaround. Congratulations on the Europe trip.
Oh, thanks.
That's
It was
awesome.
Good fun. Good
Awesome.
fun.
Early congratulations on finishing your rentals next year.
We'll see on that one. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll be right back with Greywood Developments, everyone.